I was living abroad working online when suddenly my bank account was frozen. Imagine waking up one morning, logging in to pay rent, and seeing a message, "Your account has been restricted. Please contact support." That's exactly what happened to me, and it's every digital nomad's nightmare. One day I had access to my funds, the next I couldn't touch a single euro. The freeze lasted 9 long days. My rent was due, my co-working space was about to charge my card, and I had less than 300 euros in cash left. If you've ever thought banking abroad was simple, this story will change your mind. The bank didn't warn me. No email, no phone call. Just silence. When I finally reached customer service, the explanation was vague. A disembodied voice on the other end kept repeating the same line. "We can't disclose details of an ongoing security review, sir." That was it. No timeline, no reassurance. Later, I pieced together that it was triggered by 2 international payments I had received in the same week, one from a US client and another from a European platform. The system flagged my account as suspicious because I was logging in from Lisbon. The payments came from different countries, and the amounts were higher than my usual transfers. The total stuck in limbo? Around 3,600 euros. To me, that was over a month of living expenses gone, inaccessible, while I was supposed to be focusing on work. Those 9 days were stressful. I remember sitting in a cafe in Barro Alto, pretending to work, but in reality calculating how many days I could last before running out of money. I was nursing a single coffee for 3 hours to save money, while around me the cheerful noise of laughter and music felt completely at odds with the knot of panic in my stomach. Lisbon isn't the cheapest city anymore, and between accommodation at 750 euros, food at 15 a meal, and small costs like metro passes, I realized I had maybe a week before I'd need to borrow or use a credit card. What saved me was having a backup account with Wise. I quickly transferred some dollars I had sitting there into euros, paid a €5 fee, and at least covered the basics. Without that, I would have been stuck calling family to wire me money. Even then, I had to ration everything. I skipped dinners out, walked instead of taking the metro, and kept telling myself, just hold on until the funds are released. The psychological stress was even worse than the financial one. Every day I refreshed my account, wondering if today would finally be the day I'd see the funds restored. On the 9th day, the freeze was lifted. No apology, no explanation, just access restored as if nothing had happened. That moment taught me 3 big lessons. First, never rely on a single bank when living abroad. Always keep a second account, preferably with a fintech like Wise or Revolut, where you can receive and send money instantly. Second, keep a backup card separate from your main wallet. I had a Revolut debit card mailed to me in Barcelona months earlier, and when Wise ran low, I used Revolut to cover groceries. Third, always notify your bank before making large international transfers. It sounds old-fashioned, but sending a simple message in the app saying, "I'll be traveling, expect payments from X and Y," can sometimes prevent automated freezes. If you think this is rare, it's not. I've met countless nomads in Bali, Mexico City, and even Chiang Mai who faced the same nightmare. One friend had over $10,000 stuck for nearly a month while trying to pay rent in Bali. His landlord didn't care about ongoing security reviews. Another had a PayPal freeze that lasted 90 days, effectively locking him out of his freelance income until he set up a backup LLC account. A designer I met in Mexico had his French bank freeze him after he logged in from a cafe with a VPN. These aren't isolated stories. It's a structural risk of living a cross-border life. Looking back, that freeze cost me money in hidden ways. I had to pay late fees on my Lisbon Airbnb, spend extra on currency conversions, and I lost a week of productivity because I was too stressed to focus. In total, I estimate the incident cost me at least 500 euros beyond the frozen balance. That's not pocket change. And yet, if I hadn't had Wise and Revolut, it could have been much worse. I now keep at least 1 month of living expenses split across different banks. 1,000 euros in one account, 1,000 in another, plus a little cash. It's not paranoia, it's survival. The freeze also changed how I think about emergencies. Before, I thought of an emergency fund as something sitting in one account, untouched. Now I think of it as resilience. Part of it in Wise, part in Revolut, part in Coinbase and stablecoins that I can cash out with a debit card, and a few €100 in physical notes. That way, if one door slams shut, I still have others open. Another lesson was learning how banks actually think. To them, you're not a person, you're just a pattern of transactions. The moment your behavior doesn't fit the pattern, like receiving money from new countries or logging in from a new IP address, you're flagged. I remember arguing with a representative who insisted, "Sir, we cannot verify your location." I was literally calling from my Lisbon apartment, sending them a selfie with my passport, and still they kept repeating the same script. That disconnect between real life and their algorithm is what makes freezes so dangerous for nomads. I've since learned small hacks to reduce the risk. Always keep at least one local bank account in the country where you spend most time. Even if you rarely use it, it signals stability. Spread large transfers across a few days instead of dropping one big amount. And never wait until your account is almost empty before topping it up. Living with only $200 in the bank and waiting on a transfer is a recipe for panic. The irony is that I wasn't even doing anything shady. I wasn't hiding money, I wasn't trying to evade taxes. I was just getting paid for honest work. And yet the system treated me as suspicious simply because I didn't fit the template of a 9-to-5 employee in one country. That's the hidden tax of freedom, stress and unpredictability. What hit me hardest wasn't just the freeze itself, but how alone it felt. Banks don't explain. Friends don't always get it. Online, people say just use crypto, but in the real world, you can't pay rent with Bitcoin in Lisbon. I felt caught between two systems, the traditional one that didn't trust me, and the modern one that wasn't fully accepted yet. Now, years later, I can laugh about it. But in that moment, it was terrifying. I'd go for walks in Alfama just to clear my head, staring at the tiled buildings while my mind kept looping back to the same thought. What if they never unfreeze it? That thought is hard to shake when your money is locked away by an algorithm you can't argue with. So here's the takeaway. Don't wait for this nightmare to happen before you prepare. Open at least 2 accounts, carry 2 cards, and keep a small emergency fund in cash. Tell your bank about your travel plans and never assume that because you've been fine so far, you'll stay fine forever. These freezes are unpredictable, and they usually hit when you least expect them. I learned it the hard way. You don't have to. Subscribe for more practical stories and finance strategies for digital nomads. And just a reminder, this video is for educational purposes only, not financial advice.